Speaking of not caring, would you like to move on across the street to SmackDown?
No, I really wouldn't. Can we talk about more animal deaths or something?
No, we'll gloss through SmackDown so we can get to superstar Billy Graham. Not to say he's an animal death, but you know what I mean. But with SmackDown again, at least that was the show a few weeks ago. While the first few months of the year, we were saying, well, it's only 2 hours. It's easier to get through than Raw and the bloodline thing. And, and now we got a lot more talking. They're trying to talk us into all of this, but I think they've gone too far, as the old saying goes. But they started out, we're still not sure who's on whose side in the bloodline. They started out with Roman and Solo and Heyman going to the ring for an interview. And as soon as Roman says, "Acknowledge me," here comes Owens' music. And he comes out in the entranceway, and then Sammy's music, and he comes out. And I would say this is ridiculous. Pick a song and stick to it. But I like this because at some point, Owens needs to switch heel on Sami Zayn. And when they play his music, he gets a pop, he comes out. But when they play Sammy's music, he gets a bigger pop, and he's more popular. So wherever they're going with this right now, if they keep doing that, it'll be nice for the future. Otherwise, pick a fucking song. But anyway, and as usual, Owens wants to fight right away. And I will give it to him that somehow, how has Kevin Steen been able to, the state of him, the look of him, the person of him, been able to convince people that he's a prize fighter and a badass? I'm not saying he can't work. I'm not saying he can't talk. I never have. He doesn't look like fucking Haku. And he's probably been in, I would think, single-digit number of real fights in his life. But and look at him. But he's made people somehow believe that he's a prize fighter.
Well, they call him that.
Exactly.
I've never understood why. Again, not to take anything away from whatever you could do in a real fight, but a prize fighter is a specific kind of person, not just anyone who fights.
Fight, Owens, fight. It's all about fighting. But anyway, they have the interaction, but Roman wants to talk to Sami. Because Roman says he's only got one regret, wasting his life on Sami Zayn. And Sami says, well, I regret not hitting you with a chair sooner. And I've dreamed about telling you off for months, and now at the Night of Champions, you're not going to get these tag team title because you're not as good as us, and you're not as good as the Usos either. And boy, howdy, Roman, he winds up, and let me tell you something. He is about to go off verbally and vent his spleen on Sami Zayn. And the Usos hit the ring from behind and jump Owens and Sami and beat him up and chuck him out of the ring and celebrate about doing it. And Roman is pissed. I didn't call that. That's not my play. I didn't say, what the fuck? And as he's going to walk off and leave him, he turns around and bumps into Solo. So we get the dramatic look there. And then Roman walks out on him. And that's the end of that segment. But did you notice one thing about the way that transpired, Brian, that would have never happened in the days where guys actually cared how they came off to the fans, and as I said before in the show, their money depended on it, and they didn't want to be made look like idiots? What happened here? You're so used to it by now. It's nothing unusual, but it was glaring here.
Tell me.
Where'd Kevin and Sami go?
I don't know.
Literally, the Usos hit the ring. They're the tag team champions. They fucking roughed them up and hit them with a couple fucking moves. They take bumps out on the floor, and then the Usos and Roman have their interaction, and Roman and Solo has their interaction, and the announcers pitch to the break. You didn't even get a camera shot of these two guys laying on the floor unconscious. And And if so, what did they do? Did they just let the heels leave and then they get up in front of 15,000 people in the arena and limp out like a bunch of limp dick losers? You always called, if you were doing an angle in the old days, for a graceful exit for the baby faces. Not only for the television audience, but also for the fucking people, even if they're being helped out by someone. You see where they went. They didn't just take their ass kicking like pussies and fucking disappear because they didn't want to get back up and fight the fucking guys that just beat their ass. Now does it make sense why that don't make sense?
Yes, it does.
There you go.
I said it the other day. I said it's Sammy and Owens need to do something because they've become afterthoughts in this whole bloodline thing, and this is a perfect example of that.
Either that or they just said, well, we can't whip those guys, so we'll slink out while they're not noticing us. But right after they came back from the commercial break, there's Roman in the back in the Bloodline Lounge or whatever, and the Usos are trying to explain, and Roman chewed them out. I had something to say to this guy. I didn't call this plant, blah, blah. He did a great job yelling at them and, basically chastening them, and then kicked them out, said, get out of here, get out of here. So there's trouble in paradise there. Did you see the debut of Pretty Deadly?
You know what? I was conflicted here because I want there to be tag team wrestling. So I said, let me try to check this out. And immediately I was like, what the fuck is this? I remember seeing them briefly in NXT, but I watched this for a little bit. This is not for me. I don't know what this is.
Okay, for the folks who were lucky enough not to see this, it was Ridge Holland and their little pal Butch of the Brawling Brutes against the debut of Pretty Deadly, and they did a VTR promo with Pretty Deadly before they came out. They were in chef's hats cooking the recipe for their team, the delicious Pretty Deadly. And based on this promo and the way that they talk and the way that they dress, I will now make a blanket statement that I will never watch any of their matches or interviews ever again.
Yeah, what is that? What? I don't know.
I can't. I don't even want to try. I don't even want to try to figure out what the audience for this might be or why anybody thinks this is a good idea.
See, this is why I think we should check out NXT one of these weeks just to see what's going on, because so many people that were there when we stopped watching are now no longer there or called up. So they'll be on these shows instead of the show we stopped watching.
Well, then that makes some sense there. Good thinning there, Brian. And I'd be ready to start as soon as next week, not watching any of these programs. Anyway, they did a Superstar Billy Graham package with taste and in the right place. And then, of course, we came out with Zelina against Oscar. And sorry. Did I miss anything?
That was all right. It was good. I like Asuka as a heel a lot, and I liked her as a babyface, but, she was a heel when she first got there in NXT. Really, really good as a heel, better than as a babyface, more serious. And Zelina has a little bit of momentum coming out of that pay-per-view and the reaction she got. Fine match. And she misted Bianca again.
If you stood one of these girls on flat-footed on top of the other one's head, they wouldn't get 10 feet in the air.
Oh, are we playing volleyball? What do we need that for?
Yeah, do you play volleyball by standing flat-footed on top of another person's head?
Well, maybe their shoulders in the pool, but not the head. I don't stand on someone else. Some of the women may want to stand on my shoulders.
Well, however you give or get head, it's up to you. But anyway.
That's not what I meant.
At the 9 p.m. hour, this is, I forgot, what's the show, Smackdown? It's on Fox Network, right?
This is indeed Smackdown on Fox.
This is a network television show. 9 o'clock hour, they're supposed to have, Edge or Seth Franklin Rollins or Cena or a star, right? Of any kind. The 9 o'clock hour was the Grayson Waller effect. Another cheesy in-ring talk segment with a ridiculous set that looks like a radio station lobby. And Grayson Waller, another one of these NXT fellers, he's Australian. He looks like a 19-year-old science nerd facially, but he dressed like he's on the board of directors of a massage parlor.
You know, Crocodile Dundee was on TV all the time years ago, and I don't think I've ever heard as many Australian accents as I have in the last year watching WWE TV.
And again, I love our friends across the pond. Had a great time in the UK. Have not been to Australia, but I don't have anything against them. Love Superstar Bill Dundee as a wrestler. But all these basically bland, normal looking guys with regular size and regular voices and accents that make them all sound alike do not do any of them any favors because they're all interchangeable. And they all look fucking 12. But anyway, so I mean, I think I said a couple weeks ago, where's Billy Robinson, Tony Charles, Les Thornton? Good God, Marty Jones, Mark Rocco. Give me some ugly motherfuckers that look like they stretch people. Anyway, Grayson Waller brought out AJ Styles, and I get now AJ is a babyface now, I guess, but he's with Gallows and Anderson, who are about as heelish looking as you can look. But this whole thing was horrible. The fans don't care. AJ didn't have a lot to say. Grayson Waller is an unknown, and he looked like a clown here in this doctor's office waiting room fucking set with the fake ferns. And nothing happened. Grayson Waller ended up saying that Seth was going to beat AJ for the title at Night of Champions or whatever their Double or Nothing, whichever big show this is. And they stared at each other, and that was it. Did I miss something?
No, the ending was kind of in a way, the most surprising part, but when you think about how WWE goes to commercials and stuff, it was the least surprising part. First time we've seen him on this show, I think. Certainly the first time we've seen his talk show set up. AJ, who we got a lot of feedback, we should say it here. He's a babyface, not a heel, which we thought he was. Both of us had the same thought.
Didn't he used to, last time we saw him, wasn't he?
But now he's a babyface, apparently, and we're supposed to know that, even though he's with the Good Brothers and stuff.
Did he save some babies from a burning building or drowning kittens or something?
Well, he didn't save this segment. This was lame. This was bad. I don't know how this gets this guy over. And there was no ending. What happened? Did he just walk out and leave? Who left first? That's what I want to know.
I don't even think they showed us. I don't know. All right, the next match was the Street Sweepers, Dawkins and Ford, against another tag team. Here comes LA Knight, and he does a promo in the aisleway, and he is looking for the tag team title, so he's gone out, because he can win the tag belts with anybody, so he's gone out and got him a partner. And here he comes, and it's Booger, Rick Boogs. And this guy has been doing jobs for ever, and they presented him like an idiot. This was no difference here. He comes out dressed in pink, playing air guitar, acting like a moron. And they have a match, and within 2 minutes, they beat him. And then the babyfaces leave, and LA Knight picks him up and hits his finish on Booger. So they're giving LA Knight now the Cactus Jack push that we gave to Cactus and me and Kevin Sullivan WCW in 1989 because we didn't have the power to fucking put guys over if Flair didn't want to. So we just fucking let Cactus beat up the other job guys. What the Why is LA Knight in the middle of this?
Because they just seemingly don't want to commit to booking him right. And they also don't want to let him go. So
and the people are still reacting to him when he comes out. They react, blah, blah, blah. And it's a rib at this point.
They got to do something, though. Because, again, people react to him because he's really good. He's good in the ring, great on the mic. But after a while, even those skills dissipate. Even the reaction you get will dissipate, I should say.
Yeah.
Because the way you're used. I mean, it's not just this company, but the more people see you treated like a jerk off, the more they're not going to care.
You know, if you're sitting around in a park, on a park bench, Eyeing little girls with bad intent, snot
No.
running down your nose, greasy fingers smearing your shabby clothes. I'm doing Jethro Tull here, but if you're sitting on a park bench and you're watching the kids playing on the playground and you see this cute little boy and he's trying to pull himself up on the chin-up thing and get up there to where he can get on the slide or whatever, but he can't quite get up there, but he's trying. He keeps trying. He almost gets it. He almost gets it another time. He's trying to get up, climb up on. You're rooting for the kid because you're sitting there wasting some time trying to see whether or not he's going to get up on there, and you want to see him do it. But if that kid was to try that for 3 hours straight, would you sit there through the whole thing to watch to see if he fucking did it finally? Or would you, after a while, get up and go on with your fucking life?
Yeah, I think so. I think the latter.
Okay. So speaking of going on with our life, so Cameron Grimes doing a promo in the back, and they've combed him and brushed him and trimmed him and groomed him and dressed him, and he looks like a nobody. When he was coming out with hair growing out of his fucking knuckles and the black vest and the fucking black top swamp hat with the snake thing around it and everything, and they didn't have him being so fucking silly and all the to the moon thing. And just when they got ridiculous with him winning $1 million in the lottery or whatever, he's a gimmick. There's a gimmick in there somewhere, and he's a good worker. But they're trying to make him look more palatable, and that is the antithesis of what they ought to be doing. And the whole idea is that when he looked like a shaggy-ass caveman, he looked like shit in a good way. You paid attention. He looked different. And look at the guy doing the shit that he does, and he looks like that. But now he just looks like some fucking guy putting himself through community college waiting tables at a goddamn seafood place. I'll continue on. Karrion Kross continues to try to be a bad dramatic actor instead of a good wrestler. They had a girls' tag team match. I don't know who the fuck they were. They had more girls arguing with each other in the back. Then Austin Theory came out to the ring and did a promo. And he seems to be more comfortable now. He's having more fun. He's got good inflections. He's got delivery. He's progressing even in this somewhat boring environment. And right as I said, okay, I'm enjoying hearing this, and he's a fucking cocky little prickish heel. Seamus's music plays, and he comes out in the gear that he's got, the white top and the suspenders. He looks like a fucking out of Irish garbage man. And he comes in the ring. They don't say anything on the microphone. They stare at each other. Seamus goes to get a microphone, and when he turns around, he just hits fucking Theory with the brogue kick. His music plays. He drops the microphone and walks back out. So that was the end of that. Captivating.
Oh, yeah.
And also, here's another thing. The whole idea of the wrestling business since, I don't know, television was invented in 1948 is that the heels get their heat on TV, and you have to pay to see the baby faces get even either at the house show or the pay-per-view. In every fucking segment of these shows, the heels, when they start to get a smidge of heat, are then immediately shut down somehow for free on television the very next week. It's just like they trade back and forth. It's not, I pissed on your leg last week, so you get to piss on mine this week. It's, I'm the heel and you're the baby face, and I'm going to piss on your leg, and you're going to try to get even, and I'm going to prevent that until the fucking blow off. So Paul tells the Usos that Roman Reigns forgives them, but he will not be out at the ring for their match tonight because he's got too much on his plate. And their match tonight is the Usos against Rey Mysterio and Pablo Escobar, the LWO that they have revived. And so obviously you can kind of see what's going to happen here. Of course, they went 2 minutes to the break. And when they came back, there was nothing wrong with this match. It's just I zoned out. Again, Rey Mysterio and Escobar have been a team for what, 4 weeks? The Usos, it's not a title match anymore. The Usos, you know they're going to get beat here because Roman's still got to be mad at them. The only thing wrong with it from a match standpoint that I saw is I'm about fed up with the Usos looping right uppercut punches with an open hand that you can see a mile away. Have you noticed that?
Off the top of my head, no, but I'm sure now that you said it, I certainly will next time.
And Roman does the same thing, but he's a little slicker with it. But if every time that the Usos, they're doing the slap with the left hand on the shoulder, but their right hand is wide open, not even loosely closed. If we had video, I would show you about 7 different ways you can hold your hand to throw a punch, and this is not one of any of them. But anyway, so the Usos couldn't put Rey Mysterio away, but finally they go for the double splash off the top turnbuckle, but Escobar nails one, and Owens comes down and draws the referee, and Sammy pushes the other Uso off the top, and Rey hits the 619, and Escobar hits the splash off the top. 1, 2, 3, the Usos lose, and Roman Reigns is highly perturbed at that. And that was 2 hours of SmackDown. I mean, again, on the other program, you don't know what the fuck's going to happen from one second to the other. It's all going to look phony, and it's probably going to make no sense, but at least there's constantly chaos going on. And on the other side of the fence, it's a long slog to see anything interesting whatsoever. But it's all done professionally, and mostly nobody's getting hurt.
All right, another exciting episode of SmackDown.
But I'll tell you, Brian, I don't know whether they answered the most pressing question of today on the SmackDown episode or any of the other wrestling programs that we've watched. The most pressing thing that I want to know, Brian, I've got to ask you right now. When you wake up in the morning, sometimes do you feel a little green around the gills, as Aunt Lola used to say? Do you poop out at parties? Do you stoop and strain? Do you sometimes have the sour belches at odd times during the day?
During the day or when I wake up? You started this by asking, do I wake up feeling all of these things?
No, do you wake up feeling green around the gills? Do you have sour belches at odd points during the day? Do you stoop and strain at various times? You know, back in the old days, what they would do is they'd just throw you a couple of Dr. Proctor's Red Rectum Rockers, say, take this with a glass of water, you'll be fine. And you'd probably be deceased about 6 weeks later. But the thing is, Brian, now that we have the science and the technology, and we've got scientists on this thing and smart people, graduates of major universities, our friends at Seed have given us the inside scoop on how your gut and your gut health can affect your entire life and your entire body. For example, Brian, did you know that the gut and the immune system work together to carefully coordinate our body's response to the world around and within us? An intrinsic connection known as the gut immune axis. Even before we're born, microbes help set the foundation of our immune system, teaching our body how to distinguish between benign substances and pathogenic antigens, poisonous substances. And this relationship continues to develop throughout our lives until, well, it's just positively a romance between the gut and the immune system, except if you piss your gut off. If you don't take care of your gut, if you make too many trips to White Castle, your gut, Brian, is a vengeful gut. And it will get even. It will bring medieval fire and furor down upon you. If your gut is pissed off at you, look at the number of ways that it can fuck with your life. If your gut's mad, it'll make you shit fire and barbed wire. If your gut's pissed off at you, it'll make you puke your toenails up, projectile vomiting. If your gut is mad at you, it'll reach right up above it, snatch your heart, it's in the vicinity, and Pull it right out your asshole.
This is not the way any of this. Well, I mean, this is just
What?
This is crazy. This is all crazy.
Well, no, it's crazy to allow this to happen. Your gut is going to get even with you one way or the other unless you take care of your gut. And I'm talking be nice to your gut. Do not forget any of the gut-oriented holidays, cards, fiber, but also with Seeds DS01 Daily Synbiotic, because that takes care of your gut. For example, and here another thing, the gut controls your skin. Skin health? Did you know that? The probiotics and the prebiotics and the organisms and the pathogens and all those things that scientists have discovered over the last few years, if your gut decides that it doesn't like your skin, it'll make your skin turn purple and pink and fall off. So
what? Your skin is going to fall off?
Your skin can rot right off your body. You'll just be walking down the street, shedding skin everywhere. Kids will be tripping over it.
Pink and purple, rotten skin?
Pink and purple, rotten, and polka dotted.
And polka dotted, really?
Because gut health controls your digestive health, your skin health, your heart health. I mentioned the heart before that might fall out your asshole.
Well, that must tie into the polka dots, I assume.
Exactly, because it models and it, as it rots, it grows mold and, and then things form. And you could be growing mushrooms off your goddamn skin if it rots far enough before it falls off. So the point is, with these Seeds DS01 Daily Synbiotic, it includes 16 of the 24 strains are specifically geared toward digestive health. And Seeds DS01 Daily Synbiotic has 4 specific probiotic strains that promote healthy skin. See, there you got your digestion, which reinforces healthy stool hydration and ease of evacuation. Boy, sometimes my stool is hydrated to the point it looks like a fucking fire hose, but nevertheless.
Your stool itself looks like a fire hose, or it looks like what would come out of a fire hose?
The evacuation is very easy. And you have an occasional gastrointestinal discomfort associated with increased intestinal transit time. That means that shit ain't moving quick enough. So, boom, it'll speed that shit. It's like a traffic cop for poop. And then you've got your heart health, which is going to help maintain your blood cholesterol levels and support healthy intestinal recycling of cholesterol and bile. They recycle everything these days. I don't know why they'd want to recycle your bile. I have plenty of my own. I don't need to have somebody else's, but they will collect your bile and recycle it and give it to the needy that don't have enough bile. And if you're interested in discussing gut barrier integrity, gut immune function, or micronutrient synthesis.
And who isn't?
And it's all over the people's tongues these days, as well as the tips of their fingers, if they don't wipe, then, you got to investigate. Go right now to seed.com, because they'll tell you more about this than I possibly can. I'm just a layman. And I'll tell you another thing. If you take these Seeds DS01 Daily Synbiotic, it'll be easier to get laid. So you can all be laymen.
Well, that actually doesn't make any sense, and we can't promise that at all, so don't say that.
Well, it'll be if you're laying in a hospital bed with a tube stuck in your navel, sucking out all the poisonous substances of your gut because you didn't take care of your gut health, who's going to want to fuck you?
Well, that could possibly mean you won't get laid any more than you currently do, but you can't say you're going to get laid more than you do.
Well, you ain't going to get laid any less either. So therefore, go right now to seed.com.
So therefore, that's the reason why.
Therefore, seed.com/Jim and use the code Jim, and you're going to get 30% off your first month of these precious, life-giving substances known as Seeds DS01 Daily Synbiotics. Seed.com/Jim, code Jim, that's Jim for anybody who's listening to this program and doesn't know that. And you'll get 30%. That's almost like getting it for free. It's getting it for 70%, which is closer to free than 100%. So you're going to get 30% off and with a smile on your face. Seed.com/Jim, code Jim. And don't be shedding skin around the neighborhood. Try to keep your hair Don't fucking shit fire and barbed wire. Battery acid, things like that. All these things can happen from an unhappy stomach.
Shit fire in barbed wire?
Shit fire and barbed wire.
And barbed wire.
Shit fire and barbed wire.
Makes a little more sense.
Well, what would you
why
think?
Why are you thinking of shit and barbed wire? It's like AEW.
That doesn't make any sense at all, Brian. Where's your head at?
That's the next Moxley match. We're gonna shit in barbed wire.
Shit and fire. No, I've just named the next Moxley match. He's shitting fire and barbed wire. They're going to fucking put gasoline up his keister, and they're going to fucking hold a flaming piece of barbed wire, and he's going to try to light one of his farts.
It'll be like if Stallone was in Backdraft.
Except it's Rocky. 3,
5,
7.
My ring's outside.
Where is your ring this week on the Arcadian Vanguard Network, oh, Mr. Last?
My ring, shitting through barbed wire with fire. Get all the shows wherever you find your favorite podcast. Of course, information on Twitter at Superpodcast or on Facebook at facebook.com/Arcadian Vanguard. A few notes, of course, the wrestling news. Every single day, wake up to a free daily wrestling newscast covering everything that happened in the world of wrestling without opinion, without conjecture. We issue corrections whenever anything gets wrong. Check it out today. Hear wrestling news with integrity. Get it directly from thewrestlingnews.com or wherever you find your favorite podcast. Look for Arcadian Vanguard's The Wrestling News. Of course, I want to make mention of Shut Up and Wrestle with Brian Solomon. This week, his guest, Pat LaPrade, talking about Montreal and his upcoming Dino Bravo book. That should be something. Hear that today at suawpod.com or look for Shut Up and Wrestle with Brian Solomon wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And of course, the 605 Superpodcast, the Mothership! Are you doing that intentionally or?
No, I think my batteries died.
It's like the hip-hop version of,
Maybe the button's stuck.
Oh, that one's working fine. It's just...
There, I loosened it up.
Your screaming woman is stuck.
Well, I'll let her out later. Go on.
Go through the archives. Hear lots of swimming women. Hear lots of screaming women. 605pod.com. Wherever you find your favorite podcast, go through the archives of the 605 Super Podcast. A lot of people have been going through the archives. If you're looking for the early episodes and they're not on iTunes, every episode is available for free directly from 605pod.com. The Mothership! Is that a closing bell?
Yes, the market was up today.
All right.
But anyway, yes, and who was swimming now? 6 people and a woman?
These are your words, not mine. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, those were your exact.
I don't remember it that way.
I
don't recall that.
I'm sure there's some people out there that have listened to the archives and can vouch for me. But anyway,